so I will probably just continue to be open to experience whatever I find. One of the things that I would like to find in China, whether it's this year or in the next years, is to find an immortal who's several hundreds of years old or 1,000 years old. I have some interesting leads to follow, so I'm gonna investigate those and see what I can find. But I think it would be a really amazing experience to meet some immortals, even though it's not technically the highest level of spiritual attainment. It's still something that's very interesting because most people don't even consider it to be possible.
I mean, those super underground like masters are out there that aren't even on the internet, right? I mean, it's so, yeah, that's so awesome to, yeah, it'd be so cool if you can meet one of those people, you know, and you'll have to let me know if you meet them and stuff. Yeah, that'd be quite amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. I remember, like, you know, Max Christensen's interview where he talked about like meeting a guy who only had black. There was no white in his eyes, like no white in his pupil or something.
This is one of the guys that I'm talking about.
You know, a lot of my aunties and uncles, you know, that I met over there, they took me to meet masters that nobody would ever get to know, like ancient masters who are still alive. You know, and a lot of the people in the West would not believe about the Daoist immortals. But I took a group of maybe 8 students with me one day, and we went to a place, and I met this Chinese fella who's 90 years old. He was a student of this one master. He goes, "Here, have this tea." He gave me some tea, and at the Dragon Gate School. And he said, well, I asked, well, from a translator, who taught you? Oh, the guy who taught my father and who taught my grandfather, since they were 9, you know, or 5 years old. And so now in your mind, that automatically goes, if you're 90, your father died at 95 or 80, and your grandfather lived to about 100 and something. Now that means this teacher has to be what, you know? So I got put into this room with this translator. Took me into this room with my students and this little translator. And he goes, nobody can understand his language. He's so old. And so I was expecting a man with white hair and kind of heavy and, you know, typical immortal. Mm-hmm. This man came in, was sitting on his bed, eyes closed, dark brown skin, black hair, hardly any wrinkles, didn't look over 50. And he opened his eyes, and I was trying to communicate with this master, and I was saying, Sifu. You know, that's the only thing I knew really in Chinese. And he opened his eyes, and they're all completely black. And what this means is that he's the Tao. He has become the great void. Mm-hmm. And he was a known Daoist immortal from many temples, and he had written scrolls that he was known by these people. And he was easily over 350 years old. Mm. And first thing I said, well, what can I speak about this master who we don't know each other's language? He opened his eyes, he looked at me, and he goes, you're 3 days late. 3 days late, I just discovered you in this temple through my auntie. And he yelled at my auntie, he goes, he should have been here 3 days ago. And he goes, what does this mean? He goes, well, why weren't you born in China? Why weren't you born back here? I've been waiting for you. And, you know, he says, you have 2 or 3 of the awakenings. You could have had your awakenings if you were a young boy, if you had been born back in China. Mm. And he was very upset. And so he says, you will keep in contact with me once a week by letter after you leave here. And we did a mind to mind. But then we didn't know that the Chinese government did not want this happening because they were looking for him. So he has to jump from temple to hide. Mm-hmm. They don't want that thing's known anymore. They want it to die off. And so the government actually got in the way and, you know, started chasing him because they want his secret. Mm-hmm. And so I never was able to meet him again, which was extremely unfortunate.
He gave me very vague directions to find him. And so I guess that's just how he is. It's like he makes everything a treasure hunt because he's a treasure hunter himself. So there you go. So we'll see if I can find the needle in the haystack.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can like practice remote viewing or something for, you know, like doing like the coordinate remote viewing and stuff, and just try to locate the guy. You know, like that. That's a
good idea. Yeah, or doing map dowsing. On a map.
No. You should totally do it, Max. So that'll be amazing if you can find this guy.
It was funny because when I was coming out to China, I was asking him about it. Is the connection bad? We'll wait.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay. When I was coming out to China, I was asking about it. I was like, hey, I know you've trained with Immortals. Like, can you tell me anywhere to go? And then he told me this. He told me like a vague area where I can look. And he's like, yeah, there's a monk there that's he's got jet black hair and black eyes, and he's been there for 1,000 years. Or he's 1,000 years old, and he should still be there if the government hasn't killed him yet.
Wow, dang, that is wow, that is crazy. Yeah, I mean, Max, we've came a long ways. I mean, you've certainly made leaps and bounds in your knowledge and your finances and all areas of your life, over the last, since I've known you and stuff. But man, like, it's just so crazy, isn't it? The rabbit hole just keeps, getting deeper and deeper and deeper and stuff. And there's just so much to learn about this work, and just so many possibilities. And man, like, it's just so interesting, isn't it? Like, just when you think like, oh, I've learned it all, there's just like so much more out there, so yeah,
life is pretty magic. I remember in college thinking like, oh, when you're a kid, life seems so magical, and when you're an adult, you realize it's not. But then part of unbecoming an adult is realizing that everything really is magical again. Everything is possible.
Yeah, certainly.